Welcome everyone. I'm happy to be here representing the Weatherhead School. So if you were here looking for Weekend Update or ESPN Sports Center, you were in the wrong place. But today the Weatherhead School is going to be giving information about our programs and implications for registration for this summer. My name is Jim Hurley. I'm one of the assistant deans at the Weatherhead School.
And my name is Tiffany Welch, and I am also an assistant dean in the Weatherhead undergraduate programs. And I'd like to give you a quick overview of what we're going to discuss today. Just the highlights. We're going to introduce what our office does, going to discuss some key information and considerations for when you're scheduling. We'll of course provide you with some course recommendations and different options, address some facts and common issues that students have, and we'll give you some contact information in case you have any questions or want to follow up with one of us.
Okay, so moving right along, I can give a little information about our Student Services Office. Tiffany and I are part of a small staff, including two others who serve as a central resource to assist students in exploring academic and professional interests in our programs of business and economics. So we provide professional advising for the majors and minors. We help students with course approvals for taking courses off campus, for example, or taking courses abroad, declarations of majors and minors, reviewing transfer credit, and really just about any other kind of, I guess, procedural things that students need help with. That's all centralized out of our office. And we also do a good bit of programming, educational, professional, and social programming, and I want to highlight our first program of the year. It's an annual event, part of the orientation schedule. You'll see on your schedules the academic welcomes, I believe they're labeled, and we have an annual welcome and ice cream social that first Tuesday during orientation at 4:30 p.m. in the Peter B. Lewis building.
And there's lots of ice cream, so make sure you come.
Thank you for that transition, Tiffany.
So some considerations when you're looking at our programs and planning to register. We want to highlight that our programs are very flexible. And that kind of leads to the next point, that it is impossible to get behind your first year. So if you're not quite sure what you want to do and you don't end up taking the courses we recommend, just don't worry. Like we said, you're not going to get behind. Your courses will slot in somewhere and cover requirements, and they're always elective requirements, so impossible to get behind. We recommend about 15 credit hours per semester to graduate in 4 years. Well, I should say that's what you need to graduate in 4 years, but 14 to 17 is recommended, which would be about 4 or 5 courses per semester. And again, we just want to say it is impossible to get behind in your first year. I don't think there's any way something could not count towards something, so just don't get too worried in your first semester, or even your first year, about getting off track if you start somewhere else but then decide you want to come over to a Weatherhead program. And
in case you missed that last point, it really, really is impossible to get behind. This slide summarizes our different academic programs. We don't want to get too lost in the weeds here, especially because it really doesn't matter yet whether you know which direction you're headed, whether you major in one of our different business majors, which would include accounting and business management, finance and marketing, or creating your own what we call a Dean's Approved major, or if you do the economics program under a Bachelor of Arts. There really aren't tremendous implications for your first semester, or really your first year of scheduling. And for those of you who might be thinking about minors in business or economics to complement your primary major, whether your major is going to be in business or economics or something else. We also have a number of minors that are very popular with students across the university. Entrepreneurship and leadership are highlighted in blue because those are two areas that don't show up in our, or don't directly correspond to major areas that we have. So this slide is really meant to set up the next two slides where we're going to talk about schedule recommendations if you're going to, if you anticipate studying some kind of business major eventually, or recommendations if you're looking at the economics major, and here too you don't have to be absolutely certain of whether you're going to do economics or something in business. So Tiffany's going to jump in next with the business major recommendations.
Okay, so we call this one majoring in business because it would be the same if you're thinking accounting, possibly finance, possibly marketing, you're not quite sure. And you would not be in the minority if you're not sure your first semester coming in. Even if you know you like business, you might not know yet which specific area. So we recommend, obviously, your first seminar, that's your SAGES requirement. Your math, getting started with your math, whichever math you choose, 120, 125, 126, wherever you place. Accounting 101 is financial accounting, so we recommend getting started in the accounting. And then Econ 102 or 103. 102 is preferred, but don't worry if the 102s don't work with your schedule or for some reason you don't get into the one that works with your schedule. You can take 103 first. And then the fifth class is optional or an alternative in case one of those first 4 courses don't work out for you. You can choose one of your general requirements, such as an arts and humanities course, a natural science, a social science, or an elective. The Weatherhead programs have a significant amount of open elective hours, and this literally means any course, any credit-bearing course at Case. So if you took, say, history or language or dance, anything could fulfill your elective hours. So you could also choose that as a 5th course or an alternative to one of the first 4.
Okay, so the major in economics, similarly, again, very flexible, and it's impossible to get behind. You may have heard us mention that once or twice, but we really do want to assure you that, that it's really impossible to make a mistake at this point. So again, recommendations for 4 to 5 courses. First seminar, a math course depending on your placement, and we'll talk a little bit about options for calculus, and I'll come back to that. Economics 102, intro microeconomics, or 103 macro, again depending on scheduling options and your preferences. And then a 4th course, again, anything at all at the university, whether it's an elective or something that fulfills one of the general ed, or general education or breadth requirements. And then again, an option for a 5th course, which would be also another course from either an elective or the general education requirements. So a little bit more about math for economics majors. 1 semester of calculus is required. 2 semesters are recommended. And if a student is looking to, or is thinking about doing advanced study in economics, then that has implications for the particular calculus sequence that you choose. So if you're just going to do 1 semester of calculus or no more than 2 semesters, if you don't anticipate getting a PhD in economics, then you would be fine taking Math 125, Calculus 1, and then Math 126. If you anticipate combining economic studies with a major or minor in math, or if you again anticipate doing possible advanced studies in economics, then the economics department recommends that you take the same calculus sequence that engineering and science majors doing a BS degree take, and those would be Math 121 and 122 versus the 125, 126 sequence. So I hope that's not too confusing. And we'll give you, at the end, contact information and encourage you. We always encourage students to contact us with individual questions. If you're on the fence between doing major in business proper or doing economics, again, you've got lots of time to figure that out. If you want to take Accounting 101 first semester to set you up for a major within business, that's great. If you want to postpone that to the next semester or sophomore year, that's fine. The earlier you start, the more flexibility you have, but it's okay if you don't take accounting first semester, especially if you're leaning towards the economics major. If you're pretty sure you're going to do something in business, take accounting. But if you have other priorities, if you want to look at foreign languages or other things, then again, you do have a lot of flexibility. And now we're going to go back to Tiffany.
Okay, so let's say you already know you'd like to do a business minor, so you'd like to jump in right away. We just want to recommend or make two recommendations for you. For the accounting, our business majors take accounting 101 and 102, which would be financial accounting and managerial accounting, so a full semester of each. But we do have for our minors a combined course that's accounting 203, so it's more of a survey type course, and it fulfills the prerequisite for several of our minor courses. So this is something you'd want to take first, obviously, if it's a prereq, and it'll give you more of an overview of both areas of accounting than going more in depth in the individual courses. And then economics 102 or 103, these fulfill the general requirement in social sciences for other majors, so we recommend the Econ 102 or 103 for your minor.
We've covered, for the most part, the information we want to cover. We're going to look at some FAQs and common issues that come up, so I'll get us started. So Calculus 1, Math 121 versus 125. We talked about those different flavors of calculus relative to the economics major. If you are a student who is on the fence between something in business and economics or something outside like engineering, we see a good number of students who want to hedge their bets or explore different areas. It's easier to switch out of engineering into business or economics versus the reverse. So if you're thinking about the engineering school and those programs, then you want to start out with Math 121 if you place into Calculus 1 or 122 for Calculus 2. Those courses are certainly going to be valid if you end up at some point switching to a business major or a economics major.
And I also wanted to say, if you start in Math 121, and then you decide to pursue a Weatherhead major, you can finish up the Calc 2 with 126. So just because you do 121 doesn't mean you have to do 122.
Yep. Okay, so picking back up AP credit. We know a lot of students come in with AP credit and may have questions. If you have AP credit for Calculus 1 and you're going to take Calculus 2 for business or as an optional course for the economics major, take that credit and run. You are perfectly good to go into Math 126, Calculus 2, or 122 for, again, if you're looking at the engineering or want to leave the door open to take additional math courses such as Calculus 3 and Calculus 4. Similarly, if you have AP credit for either microeconomics or macroeconomics, magic number is a 4 or above, 4 or 5. AP credits, those are beautiful things. You're good to go with your requirements. You're not going to need to repeat those, even if you took AP micro or macro as a sophomore or junior in high school, you're fine. Can you take or tackle the pre-med or pre-dent studies and major in business or economics? Yes, absolutely, you can. We probably have a couple students a year, every other year, who choose a major in business and or economics and also complete the pre-med curriculum or pre-dent curriculum. And for the most part, those students can do those programs within 120 or so, maybe a little bit extra on the elective side with all their science courses. But it's very doable, very, absolutely very possible. And then lastly, some students consider double majors to combine different interests, dual degrees. They wonder, well, can I study abroad and also do the economics major in 4 years or do a business program? Again, what were those words we used, Tiffany? Flexible and
Yes.
It's impossible to get behind. There are lots of different things that students can do, and really, again, at this point, focusing on 4 to 5 courses for the fall, 14 to 17 credits. There are no significant implications regardless of what different things you might be thinking of down the road as far as double majors, adding minors, or studying abroad. So I think that covers most of the common issues that come up, and Tiffany's going to take us home unless she wants to add anything to that.
So we just want to give you our follow-up information. If you have any questions, we can help you along the way. And again, as Jim said, we recommend students contacting us rather than being concerned or feeling lost. So here's Jim's information, his phone number and his email, my information, phone number, email. And you can follow the Weatherhead programs on Twitter as well. And as we note there, don't worry, we won't follow you. So we look forward to meeting you all on campus this fall, and please let us know if you have any questions.